Welcome to the Football Show on a Saturday afternoon on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin. Alan Ruff is with me here as we look at all the scores coming in Scotland and down south in England. Bring you half-time reports and full-time, as well as reaction from managers and players all the way through till 6 o'clock. One game kicked off early today at Tynecastle. It was an absolute cracker and Adam Binney watched it.
Full time here at Tynecastle Park. It has finished Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1, and the race for third is now well and truly on. Hearts is 2 points behind the Dons, who actually went in front in this match after 31 minutes. There was a header from Matty Pollock, got in the end of a corner from Leighton Clarkson, but what an equaliser it was. Equalised in spectacular fashion through Josh Ginnelly, cuts in from the left and then barrels one right into the top corner, in off the stance, and the reaction from the stands to that was one of disbelief and not of jubilation. They couldn't believe what they have just witnessed, and then in the second half Hearts came out even stronger. They got a goal that put them ahead after 11 minutes into the second half through that man Lawrence Shankland, his 27th of the season. Alex Coughlin went down the left hand side, a measure ball right across the face of goal. Lawrence Shankland nicks in front of his marker, and then with the inside of his right foot fires it high into the roof of the net. Both teams now turn to their midweek fixtures with 2 games to go. It's all still to play for, but the Hearts fans behind me will feel that they have the momentum and that Stephen Naismith could be the man to bring Europa League football back to Tynecastle for a second year in a row. Full time here at Tynecastle. Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1.
Yeah, twists and turns ahead this afternoon. Keep it locked to PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Kilmarnock 0, St Johnstone 1, Livingston 1, Dundee United 1. What about Celtic Park? Patrick Mullen can give us the details.
It's half time here at Celtic Park, and it's Celtic 1, St Mirren 2. A double from Curtis Main gives St Mirren the lead at the break. The opening goal came in just the 4th minute. A long ball up from Trevor Carson wasn't handled well by Ralston. It allows Curtis Main to capitalise, and he slots the ball under Joe Hart to give the visitors the best possible start. They only led though for 10 minutes when Hatate played through Kyogo, who slashed the ball into the top right hand corner to equalise this one. But just 5 minutes before the break, it was another sloppy goal conceded by Celtic. O'Hara's played a header to Curtis Main, who's sitting there in the 6-yard box in acres of space, and he heads the ball home. It's all to play for in the second half, but at half time at Celtic Park, it's Celtic 1, St Mirren 2.
In this crazy Saturday afternoon, Ruffy and I will just bow our heads as each game unfolds, Ruffy. The predictor for us is just all over the place.
No, I think we knew it was going to be tight in a lot of the games, but there are a couple of results out there that we didn't see coming, and obviously Ross County are hanging on in there, and Van Veen hasn't scored yet. He's still got 45 minutes, so we'll have to see how that pans out. But I thought Dundee United were very fortunate. I think Livingston had a chance to go 2-0 up, and goal was called off VAR. So no, there's still a lot to play for. I think the next 45 minutes is going to be so exciting for everybody that's at the games.
Yeah, it will be for us as well, Ruff.
Yes, of course.
Any chance of telling your face it's going to be exciting. Anyway, apart from that, let's find out what the first 45 minutes was like between Motherwell and Ross County with Ali Graham.
Half time here at Fir Park, and it's Motherwell 0, Ross County 0. The visitors have Ross Laidlaw to thank for 4 brilliant saves in the first half. His first came for Paul McGinn in the second minute. A long busting run from the midfielder. He pulled the trigger 25 yards out, and he dived full length to his right to palm his effort away. Van Veen then escaped the away defence for the first time in the match, and his left-footed shot was saved by Laidlaw's feet. Laidlaw then again saved from McGinn before a volley from Dan Casey, which was going in the top corner. He threw out his left arm and palmed it away. But a warning was served to Motherwell, as County weren't here just to make up the numbers. Alex Samuel turned on the edge of the box, and his shot was deflected by for a corner kick to County. They look as if they're relying on corners and free kicks to try and get something from this game today, but Motherwell are in top in the first half. Motherwell 0, Ross County 0.
Yeah, that could be one of those games that does indeed in the second half provide us with all the drama. In the first half, the drama down at Rugby Park, Ruffy, is incredible because Liam Gordon gave St Johnstone the lead, but that red card from David Watson for Kelly, I think, is a bitter blow for Derek McInnes' side, because they're going to play with 10 men for the whole of the second half.
Yeah, I think as long as the game stayed the way it was before the player getting sent off, I would think Kilmarnock would have thought they could have turned that round. Obviously, they have to rejig the formation. They might have to take somebody off that they didn't want to take off, but again, they've got something that they need to get. They'll know the scores around the stadiums, they'll know what's happening, they'll know what's on the line for the next 45 minutes. So their home form has been good, but it remains to be seen whether they're up for it.
Yeah, Anderson gave Livingston the lead, but then Ian Harkes scored an absolute cracker of a volley to level things for Dundee United. But as you said, if Livy had got that second goal, you just wonder if that would have absolutely flattened Dundee United. But they're in with a shout.
Yeah, they certainly are in with a shout. You know, obviously VAR, David Martindale's not been happy with it for quite a few games this year, but certainly, you know, it's all to play for. You know, I think the pressure really is on Dundee United now. They have to keep it together. They need to take something out of that game because somebody else run about them. Well, a wee gap could sort of appear there with the games that are coming up.
Yeah, okay. Saturday afternoon here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Ruffy looking relaxed. He's been babysitting this morning, which is an indication of the age that Ruffy's getting to now. And thankfully for us, Ruffy didn't moan about having to do that at all. Anyway, let's crack on with what's happening elsewhere. If you have just joined us in the Scottish Premiership, final score from Tynecastle, Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1, and the battle for third is well and truly on. Celtic 1, St Mirren 2, Kilmarnock 0, St Johnstone 1, Livingston 1, Dundee United 1, and Motherwell 0, Ross County 0. And I'm hearing something from Fir Park, which could be interesting. There's an update there from Fir Park coming shortly. And it's a penalty to Ross County. Ruffy.
Well, you need a lot of nerve, you know, to take this one where they are. You know, that it'll be interesting to see, you know, if this one hits the back of the net, because this is a big turning point. This goes in, and if they hold on to it, you know, obviously Dundee United are in real trouble now.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be massive, and I can tell you all the way through to the end of this programme, there will be twists and turns. There'll be people here making predictions and then all of a sudden have to quickly U-turn because of the drama that unfolds. So Ross County with a penalty, can they put that ball away into the back of the net and get 3 points at Fir Park? It certainly is a real battle from County. I knew they were going to do it with Malky and the experience. I had a feeling in those final 5 games that they would start a fight back, Ruffy.
Well, Malky did say that. Obviously they get a bit turned over against Rangers, you know, but he saw something in the players that day, and obviously they have got a couple of wins since then, so he'll be focused on the good points rather than the bad points, but certainly if they go a goal up, you would see them holding on to that. Yeah,
and I can tell you Curtis Main is just inches away from a hat-trick. I mean, I have to think, Ruffy, it's a great quiz question, the last hat-trick at Celtic Park. Yeah. And remember, Curtis Main's on his way in the summer, so somebody will look at him and think he's worth a punt. Yeah. But to get a hat-trick at Celtic Park is no mean feat, and I am struggling to think of the last player to do it.
No, I can't think of anybody at all, you know, but he's been a big player for them this year. I think last year he was very good, but I think this year he's upped his game a wee bit. Obviously Brophy left and took a bit of, he maybe had just had to stand up at the plate a wee bit more, but certainly, you know, 2 goals at Parkhead. I mean, Celtic supporters will be wondering what's happening. No, it's okay saying win the league, you've dropped levels and that, but not with a full house. You've got to go out there and give a shot. You know, it's cup finals coming up. You have to impress the manager. So
it's not a time to put the tools away, is it?
No, it just shows you. You know, Cameron Vickers and the boy Johnson have been big players in that Celtic defence, and the others that have come in just aren't up for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe if they can't get up to the levels that they have been showing throughout the season, Inverness Cali Thistle will get a huge shot in the arm with that. So we'll keep you up to date with it. Elsewhere at the moment, Hamilton Academicals and Airdrieonians will play at 5:15 tonight. 1-0 up from the first leg is Airdrieonians, and also let's not forget that the Scottish League 2 playoff is ongoing at the moment. Albion Rovers 0, Spartans 1, and Spartans could actually put a real body blow into another club that's long associated with the professional league, Ruffy.
Yeah, it's another very progressive team from Edinburgh. You know, we've seen Edinburgh City coming up, you know, very ambitious people who run the club, and all credit to them. You know, they went about their business and they are where they are. And I just feel that these other teams who have been in the league for so long, haven't shown any ambition. So these teams, the Spartans and all them that have came in, the Kelty Hearts, congratulations to them if they get there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick look back, Ruffy, you must be delighted that last night 3-0.
Yeah.
By the way, the penalty hasn't been decided yet. The referee's having a long look at VAR at Fir Park. Partick Thistle 3, Ayr United 0.
What a performance, they've been like that ever since the Rangers game. Unfortunately, Ian McCall lost his job at that game, but ever since then the momentum's just got better and better, and one of the reasons why they are doing particularly well is they've had the same 11, apart from the boy Millen, Harry Millen, at the back. They've had the same 10 on the park, week in, week out. The consistency's there, the belief's there, and I said to you 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think they will. I'm only thinking they will.
Oh, I did that to you again.
I know. I don't want to presume, but I said 2 or 3 weeks ago, whoever wins that championship will fancy their chances against the team that's second bottom of that Premiership.
Yeah, Ruffy, would you like to be in the dugout with Malky Mackay right now? The referee's changed his mind, no penalty. He will be at the 4th official right now, going crazy.
I hope they've got it right. That's the main thing. If VAR's got it right and the referee's got it right, then that's okay. But if he hasn't got it right, then there's too much at stake for it at this precise moment of time to get these decisions wrong.
What about the playoff for League 2? Clyde won, Annan 2, Annan going up, Clyde relegated.
Yeah, Clyde have been in a poor state for the last 2 or 3 years. No stadium. Managers coming and going, and it's a sorry state. And another club that used to be very, very well run, at the top end of football in Scotland, and they're just gradually dropping the leagues.
I think if somebody is writing a story about Clyde, the decision to move away from Shawfield, and then of course the debacle, which is the relationship between Clyde, the ownership of the stadium, the council, the goings on between the two of them. It is a story well worth reading. It would be an absolute thriller of people who just do not have the best interests of the club at heart, and then of course people, there's always greed when it comes to land, property, ownership, Ruffy.
Yeah, there was rumours they were going to go to Glencairn, and share with a new sports complex over there. That never materialised either. I think actually Cumbernauld Courts get first shout at the stadium that they're playing at than what Clyde do, even at training nights, which is absolutely hard to believe. But again, as you say there, that sometimes at clubs you need somebody 100% history of the club and want to save them. That doesn't seem to be the case at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, Clyde are relegated and Annan are moving up the way. So as far as, I think there was a drop ball inside the penalty area rather than the penalty given at Fir Park, Ruffy. You couldn't make it up. So you're in a situation there where it's tense. Motherwell have had a good season. Great credit to the way Stuart Kettlewell has steadied the ship. Ross County fighting for their lives. You just wonder if there's that any added incentive to it.
Well, the incentive's all for Ross County. Obviously, the Motherwell players will be playing for their livelihood. They'll be playing for contracts. Obviously, Stuart Kettlewell will have a list of players that he'll have to release to bring new players in. So the Motherwell players have got something to play for. There's no doubt about that. But I would think the hunger would be with Ross County. Yeah,
absolutely. We'll keep you right up to date with everything that's happening at Fir Park as well, and we'll get full-time reports from there. And over and above that, as well as getting full-time reports, managers and players. The big game today at Tynecastle, it was blood, guts and thunder, no quarter given, no surprise with regards to both sides really going at it full tilt. It finished Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1, and Ruffy, we've had many contenders for goal of the season. Humphrey's goal for Hearts at Tynecastle, the lob from the halfway line, phenomenal. Jota's against Rangers, really good goal. Taverniers against Celtic with a free kick, belter of a goal. So many options. Van Veen dragging it out of there and then side foot into the back of the net a couple of weeks ago. Superb. Giannelli's today from the left hand side of the box, Ruffy, curls it into the roof of the net. What a goal.
Yeah, I mean it's a great art, and I always used to remember that famous player, the French player, was it Ribéry? Anytime he got the ball wide, you would go, don't let him cut in.
Yeah.
Don't let him cut into his left. And every time he cut in, he had the ability to do that, you know, to curl it in. And again, it was a good goal, but not goal of the season for me. It would have to be Humphreys for me, I think.
Yeah.
Beautiful technique, going by a couple of players, catching the goalkeeper off his line and having the ability to just ping it into the top corner.
Yeah, just in case you don't know the story of what happened at Tynecastle, Aberdeen took the lead. I think it was a mistake, really, in my book, from Xander Clark in the Hearts goal. Just didn't gauge the flight of the ball, and then eventually Pollock was at the back post to head it in quite easily as well to give Aberdeen the lead. Looked good for Barry Robson's side then, but Ginnelly comes up with a cracker, and then a beautiful ball into the box, and running onto the ball with his side foot open, he just lofts it into the roof of the net. A brilliant bit of technique from Lawrence Shankland to give Hearts 2-1, and of course in the end the win in that game. Brilliant for, of course, Hearts, who are now closing down on Aberdeen. So let's hear from both managers with regards to the result. I think definitely Stevie Naismith first of all, because the Hearts boss is absolutely. In fact, we'll go to Robson first, because that's the way it's in the playlist here. Let's go to Barry Robson, the losing manager, which is quite unusual to do. And he is moaning. Barry Robson's having a wee moan first and foremost. Guess what about? VAR.
Here we sit once again speaking about it, and it's frustrating. Yes, it's frustrating, and that's why I've been booked today. I didn't think a lot of decisions were great, and it's not hard to get right. It's no hard, and we've got 2 games to go. And the thing is, the thing I'm massively hopeful is I've not had one decision for VAR, so surely I'm going to get one in the next 2 games. I'm being absolutely serious. Surely Aberdeen will get one. Surely.
Good old Barry's cranking it up for the referees in the last 2 games, Ruffy, isn't it?
It certainly has. That's what happens when you don't win games, you know, on the crest of the wave. If you get a VAR against you, you know, you just let it go. But if it doesn't go for you, then you have something to say about it. And he'll know how important that is. That's why we're hoping that all these VARs at this crucial part of the season are the right ones.
Yeah, let's not forget, by the way, Aberdeen are still in the box seat here with regards to this. They may well have a 2-point advantage, and Hearts are hunting them down. And I think from Barry Robson's point of view, he thinks, you know, not only are they in a good position, but it'll all work out in the end. I'm going to blow my brains out, Ruffy, because it should have been Barry Robson again there, but now it's Naismith. Let's go to Naismith instead.
It's an interesting week. I think what that does for us today is claws us back to Aberdeen much closer than it was before the game. We go into the next week with 2 games again, looking to cause more problems than the teams we come up against, and gives ourselves a chance. I think that's all we can do. At the time of season, and where the squad was sitting, morale, everything, because they've been on a bad run, is really tough to turn around. But I think we've done a good job at turning it around, changing the style of play, and bringing an attacking brand of football, which has been pleasing for me most than anything else, really.
Do you think he gets the job full time?
Yeah, I think knowing
on 1 game.
Yeah, I think knowing Nazy, you know, I think behind the scenes he'll be doing proper. I think the training will be very, very good. I think he'll be speaking a good game to the board of directors. The Hibs game's a big game. I mean, that is massive. You know, I would think if he wins that, I know it's only 1 game, but if they get into Europe by beating the Hibs, I think that would just seal it.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yep. Okay, you'll never guess what Barry Robson's talking about, Ruffy. I think he thinks Aberdeen are going to be fine.
Yeah. It's different questions what you're asking me 3 months ago, isn't it? Was it 9, 10, 11 points we were behind? 2 points ahead, 2 games to go, 3 top players to come back. I'm alright, I'm looking forward to game Wednesday.
Yeah, absolutely. Can be a bit of confidence, because Aberdeen know, I think, this is just my gut feeling on it. They've got Aberdeen against St Mirren at home. No disrespect, tough game. St Mirren will make it difficult. Great opportunity to get the 3 points there before they go to Celtic Park. And by all accounts, Celtic are not on firing on all cylinders, but they could have that crucial cushion if they can get the win over St Mirren. And remember, Hearts are at Ibrox against Rangers.
Yeah, he might get a wee fright when he sees the score for Parkhead today. If it stays St Mirren 2, Celtic 1, you know, St Mirren have been a breath of fresh air. They've came out and it's good that they're not sitting in when they play against the bigger teams. They're going out and trying to win the game, which they obviously have done today, and I'm sure they'll do the same with Aberdeen. And Aberdeen, because they're at home and St Mirren under the top 4, they'll fancy themselves and they'll go into that game. Well, they probably went into that game today saying a draw would be enough, and it never happened. So they'll be going into the game thinking a win against St Mirren will be enough, and it probably will be.
Ruffy Livingston 2-1 up in Dundee United now.
Dundee United, I know. It's so, I can't believe Dundee United are where they are. I really can't. You know, it's a massive club in every aspect, you know, from the support and the tradition at the club. You know, we had them all celebrating their famous European run a couple of months ago as well. So, no, this could be the nail.
Yeah.
It really could be. And all credit to Livingston. I mean, everybody was saying, they've down tools because they're leaving and that, but they're professional footballers, so they've got to go out and try and win the game. Yeah,
Stephen Naismith will be delighted they get the 3 points. Whether the board will now look and say, OK, we're going to give you it on a full-time basis, is open to debate. I wonder what he's feeling now. Interim manager at Tynecastle, and the difference in the pressure as a player and being in the dugout as a boss.
As a player, you never thought. I used to think that a manager would sit in a game day and go, job done, he can't really influence it, all the pressure's on the players. But when you're sitting here, it flips and you think all the pressure's on you, when really you need the guys to do the job for you. So it's definitely different to the roles I've been in, but one that I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope he gets it. I really like Stevie Naismith, and it would be nice to see him embark on it at a good club with a really good board.
Yeah, I think he's been about. He's learnt a few lessons from lots of different managers, you know, which will be encouraging for him, and he's getting into the game, and I think he'll know exactly, being there as a player, he'll know exactly the players that he wants to keep and the ones that he wants to let go. So, you know, I think he talks a good game, and I hope he gets it as well.
Drama all across the Scottish Premiership today. We'll keep you right up to date with what's happening, and of course it all started there at Tynecastle with Hearts against Aberdeen. Hearts in the end getting all 3 points, 2-1 the final score. Our man Adam Binney was there. Adam, I know you love your football. Wouldn't you have loved to have scored that Josh Ginnelly goal? It was an absolute cracker.
Than anyone, I don't have that in the locker. Simply not capable of doing that. And I don't think many people in this league actually have that ability. Josh Ginnelly, he's been a player that for a few years now has always been inconsistent, and Hearts fans get frustrated with him. But this season, that was his 13th of the season today, and what a season he's had. And I was talking this summer as well of him leaving. But I was sitting next to 2 Hearts, I believe they were analysts, or something to do with the club. They had, the initials on the tracksuits or whatever, earpiece in during the game, and Ginnelly cuts inside. He just shapes up to shoot. You just hear the guy next to me go, don't shoot, Gino. Next thing you know, he absolutely whacks it right into the top corner, right in off the stanchion, and the guy was absolutely peeing himself laughing. Unbelievable strike. Not quite as good as Humphreys that I was raving about earlier in the season, but a joy to watch.
Yeah, an absolute joy to watch. As far as the home supporters are concerned, it is a huge shot in the arm for them, because now it's game on. Although when you look at the fixtures remaining, it's still a tall order for Hearts to try and leapfrog Aberdeen.
Well, I was speaking to some Hearts fans just behind me as they were leaving, that they're pretty much banking on St Mirren to try and produce the goods against Aberdeen next week, then hope that on Trophy Day Celtic beat Aberdeen, and then at Hearts, if you expect them to lose on Wednesday, will of course need to finish third with their game against Hibs in the final day of the season. Like, what a story that could be. If things do go the way they would expect, they'll probably lose to Rangers, and it'll come down to that last game, but they are relying on St Mirren to beat Aberdeen, who of course I've seen the result at Celtic Park today as well, are doing really well, and this opens everything up, because this win, not only does it mean that Hearts are close to third position, and a win for Aberdeen would have all but secured it. That now can involve 3 teams in this race, because if Hibs manage to get a result against Rangers tomorrow, then there's 3 teams all battling for that third spot. Then if not, even if Hibs still lose, you've got Hibs and St Mirren fighting each other for that crucial 5th spot, which will probably be a European position, because you would expect Celtic to beat Inverness.
You were listening to the Aberdeen manager. You were listening to the Aberdeen manager. I really wish we had that in camera there, Adam, because she had obviously been at hospitality, and she was just running behind you, shouting, "Come on, the jam tarts!" But let me just say, Aberdeen, the manager was having a rant. Was he worthy of his rant about VAR?
I'm a big fan of Barry Robson, but I don't know what he was talking about. We watched it back, and it was a dive. I think it's the first half. It's Molly Watkins. Fair enough. I think there was a foul on Miofsky in the first instance from Peter Haring, but it had taken place outside of the area, and then it goes into Watkins, who he just tumbles to the ground. There's not a challenge there. It's a dive for me, and I don't think he's got a leg to stand on there. But I know what he means. Barry Robson has been frustrated for a few weeks with some decisions going against his team, but equally so Stephen Naismith speaking in midweek. I think this happens to everyone. I can sense that Barry Robson was frustrated, hence the rant again after the game today, but I don't think that one was a penalty kick.
And your gut feeling on it, just before you go, Adam, a sterling job today at Tynecastle from you on all our social media. Aberdeen, 2-point advantage in the box seat. What can happen?
Yeah, well, it's also a play for it. As I said, if I was a betting man, you would obviously go with Aberdeen there in the hot seat, as you said. But it's that game next week against St Mirren that it's all going to come down to for them. If they drop points there, then it's game on, because Hearts they'll be going into it with everything to play for against Rangers. And as I said, even if they don't get a result, Hearts will be hoping. Just as I was speaking to Lauren Shanklin there, actually, he's just hoping that this game comes down to the last day. Because if it comes down to the last day and Hearts are up against their big rivals at Tynecastle as well, then God, this could be a spectacular finish to the season. But people always talk about momentum in football as well, Peter, and that's 2 weeks in a row Aberdeen haven't managed to win. I think that's now 5 unbeaten for Hearts with that big victory today as well. So the momentum's kind of swung in their favour after that massive kind of long run, extended run of victories. I think it was 7 in a row, 7 consecutive wins under Barry Robson just before he was made permanent manager. So you would say the momentum is with Hearts, but the points are with Aberdeen, and it's all still to play for. I'm not even going to call it because I'll just make myself look silly in 2 weeks' time.
Be fair to you, Adam, but the pendulum is swinging one way than the other with regards to the forum. I'm going to let you go because, quite simply, round about this time at Tynecastle after this game, usually the people who've been to hospitality walk behind him, and it looks like a scene from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest behind them there, Ruffy. Is that fair?
Yeah, certainly are. I mean, the hospitality usually starts about 12 o'clock, so there'll be a few Mary Hearts supporters leaving that stadium.
Yeah, well done to Adam there, giving us the insight from Tynecastle. You're getting that right across Scottish football. PLZ Soccer trying to give you an insight from all the grounds of what's happening. The reporters are there, the managers and players are reacting. You've already heard from 2 managers in Stevie Naismith and of course Barry Robson talking about that game where Hearts won it by 2-1. Isn't it amazing? There's a run of wins and then a run of defeats, manager sacked, run of wins here for Hearts now.
Well, that just shows you why Rangers and Celtic are so far away from everybody else. The consistent level at every other club has been poor for the whole season. Aberdeen were really, really poor. They turned it round. They went on a wee run. Hearts have the same one. Now they've went on a wee run. So yeah, that's why there's a big gap in the Premier League.
Elsewhere down south in the English Premier League, finished Tottenham Hotspur 1, Brentford 3, Bournemouth 0, Manchester United 1, Fulham 2, Crystal Palace 1. Liverpool just had a goal disallowed in that one. It's Liverpool 0, Aston Villa 1. What a scoreline that is. Wolves 1, Everton 0, and slowly but surely that trap door is opening up to relegation for Everton. They've got to get something.
Yeah, it's another massive club who, again, behind the scenes don't look as if they've been run particularly well. I think the supporters have been up in arms for a long time. There hasn't been a lot of investment at the club. So yeah, that'd be a tragedy if they went now, because again we keep talking about the derbies up in Scotland, but you like to see the derbies down in England as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it looks in the English Premier League. We'll keep you up to date if there's any twists and turns in the matches there, especially involving Everton at Wolves today. Late kick-off tonight is Nottingham Forest against Arsenal. We'll hear from Pep Guardiola a little later on because Manchester City are closing in on the Premiership title once more. We will hear hear from the Man City boss. They've got a treble in mind. Up here at the moment, the big score lines and the ones that may well cause a few eyebrows to be raised as far as shocks are concerned. It's Celtic 1, St Mirren 2, Curtis Main with the double there. St Johnstone are leading at Rugby Park because Killie are down to 10 men. Liam Gordon has scored for St Johnstone, and Livingston against Dundee United. Well, there's drama there in that match because Anderson and Penrice have scored for Livingston and Hearts has got the only one there for Dundee United. So United have to show some fighting spirit to try and get it back there. It's still 1-0 to Spartans against Albion Rovers in the Scottish League 2 playoff. One of them could be heading out of the Professional Football League. Just interestingly, Ruffy, came out this morning, the nominees for the Scottish Football Writers Player of the Year is Cameron Carter-Vickers, Kyogo, McGregor and Van Veen. The winner will be announced at the Scottish Football Writers Gala Dinner, which is the 28th of May, end of this month, and that's the 4 players. What do you make of it?
Cameron Vickers, one's for me. He's had a wonderful season, but he just came to the front in maybe the last month or two. You know, everybody's noticed, you know, his worth to the defence, and you've seen the last couple of games that Celtic have been playing when he hasn't been playing. They haven't been secure at the back. I have my doubts about that one. My two would be obviously McGregor and Kyogo. You know, I think McGregor, for being a captain and a leader through the whole season, I think he's played more games than any other Celtic player in that team. But again, you've got Kyogo again scoring the day, and people like goal scorers, you know. So I've said Callum McGregor all along, but if there's anybody going to beat him for me, it's going to be Kyogo. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see the Scottish Football Writers. Sometimes you get a decision out of left field. We'll wait to see exactly what the guys who've been writing.
The Football Writers are not a bad judge.
Yeah? Yeah. Is that because you won it with them once?
82, yeah.
Yeah. Did you win the PFA any time?
No, I was nominated 6 times.
Is that right? 6 times?
6 times and never got a shout.
Yes. Well, if anything, Ruffy, even to be nominated without trying to, blow smoke your way, to be nominated is a great honour when you consider the time you were playing in that league and the standard.
Yeah, we had lots of good players there, and if you look at the list of the players that won that, there were guys at the top of their game. One of them you were talking about the other day, Paul Sturrock. Paul's won it. You know, Andy Ritchie won it. Willie Miller won it. You know, these kind of guys playing very, very well. And unfortunately, I think Andy's the only one that never got an international cap.
Yeah, well, absolutely, which I find amazing. And he chucked the game so young. Yeah, it was incredible. I think it was something like 26, 27, and he'd had enough of people just making him promises and not actually fulfilling those promises. He was such a special player, but I think he was let down by a lot of chairmen and managers who basically just led him up the garden path. And I think Andy was one of those guys who wasn't going to stand for it. I'm sure he admits he'd made mistakes and he had faults himself, but then again, sometimes geniuses do have that little percentage of something that we don't have normally.
Yeah, sometimes you need a manager who knows how to control these kind of players. You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, Andy wasn't like off the rails or anything like that. He just had a tremendous ability and was just possibly 2 stone too heavy when he played.
Yeah, well, let's not knock players with a really good touch who are overweight, Ruffy. Calm your jets. Anyway, from Andy Ritchie, we're wondering whether Ross County are going to put another little spanner in the works at Fir Park. If there's any drama there, we will tell you. They're certainly putting up a fight. I don't think anyone will argue that the score of the afternoon will be St Mirren if they get that win at Celtic Park again. To beat Celtic twice in the league in one season is rare indeed.
Yeah, and all credit to the St Mirren manager. You know, he did his interview yesterday and he said there's no way I'm going to go to Parkhead and park the bus. I can't judge my players if we don't go out and play attacking football. You know, I need to see what's in their makeup, and certainly today, by all accounts, they've been absolutely superb.
Yeah, fair play to him, by the way, and I think the St Mirren fans have responded to him, and we had a chat with Tony Fitzpatrick. He loves him.
Yeah, I mean everybody loved him at Motherwell. You know, he tried his luck down in England, and and then he wanted to come back up home. But certainly I think the people in St Mirren will know the financial situation in there, and he's worked accordingly. I don't think he's ever come on and moaned about anything that was happening in the club. He just went about his business and got them into the top 6.
Yeah, we're into that kind of a final 15-minute period where any goal now is going to be a painful goal for not only his teams, managers, fans. This is the agonising part. Stick with us on this. Give us your opinion on who's going down, who's in the playoff, what's angered you this week in Scottish football and beyond. We'd love to hear from you. We'll read out some of your messages as well, and thank you for your support. The growing football family on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel and right across our social media is absolutely incredible, so thank you to each and every one of you for your support. And I can tell you, with Ross County desperately looking for a goal, almost giving one away at the other end, and Sean Goss just getting an opportunity there to try and give Motherwell the lead, but the chance has been squandered, and it's still 0-0 at the moment at Fir Park. So right now, Stuart Kettlewell, I think he wants to finish what he said was top of the bottom of the table. That's the incentive for Motherwell. And as ever, Ruffy, when you get to a situation like this where you have a position in the table, it means, depending on your points as well, it means more money.
Yeah, it means more money, and it means more money when the manager chaps the door and goes to the board and says, what's my budget for the year? If you get the extra money, you would like to think that the club would want to help the manager to get a better player in, you know, and it is a lot of money, you know. I mean, I don't know the average breakdown of it, but it is for the likes of St Mirren and the likes of Motherwell. It could be 1-2 players that they wouldn't generally afford.
Yeah, Ruffy, Blair Malcolm of Albion Rovers has been sent off. They're down to 10 men. They're 1 goal down against Spartans. It's 2-1 in aggregate to Spartans. Albion Rovers now staring at that point where you're thinking to yourself, they could be going out of the league and joining quite a few teams that I've watched over the years. Berwick Rangers, East Stirling, Cowdenbeath as well.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think there's any way back for them.
That's the teams I'm talking about. You know, these teams have been in the league, you know, for a long time. You know, and I have to say they haven't shown the same ambition as the teams that have come in, the Kelties, the Spartans, the Edinburgh Cities. You know. And unfortunately for Albion Rovers, they've been a team again that's been in limbo for the last 5-6 years. Managers coming in, managers leaving, owners, boards changing, all that kind of thing, and it's just become a standstill for them as well. Yeah, Ronnie Chapman says, Peter, the Ross County Motherwell game is a good game. Now, whether he's at the game, I suspect Ronnie's probably sitting there because obviously McManus is away golfing. Ronnie's just nipped up to East Kilbride and borrowed the Russian satellite dish and firing every game from anywhere in the world on it. But the two of them are at it hell for leather. Motherwell want to win it. Yeah. There's no shortage of ambition. Sometimes you do get what I call schools football, Ruffy. One goes up the park, the other one goes up the park. It's it's non-stop. No, I think all credit to Ross County. They're giving as good as they're getting, and Malky's made a couple of substitutions, and generally you would think, 13 minutes to go, 14 minutes to go, you put on a couple of defenders. Not for Malky. Malky shoved on Simon Murray, centre forward, who's caused a few teams problems this year. So, you would like to think, I'm not saying Stuart Kettlewell has got he's obviously got a bit of history with Ross County. I think where they are, I think he'd be pleased if Ross County stayed in the league. Yeah, absolutely. I was talking about Player of the Year nominees for the Scottish Football Writers. As far as down south is concerned, the awards ceremonies are going to be fast and furious as well. Nominees for the English Premier League Player and Manager of the Year have been announced. Mikel Arteta, Pep Guardiola, Eddie Howe, Robert De Zerbi, Unai Emery and Marco Silva are nominated for Manager of the Year. Again, same as, for me, it's I know he's got tons of money and he's got the best players and everything, but for me, it's a Man City clear out for me. Yeah. Same as Celtic up here. They're the ones that are winning the trophies. They're the ones that have been the best entertainers throughout the year, and it could be a massive season for Man City. By the way, Curtis Main has hit the post for St Mirren. What a chance that would have been for the hat-trick for him. Something that he would never, ever forget for the boy. It would be unbelievable if Curtis Main could get a hat-trick for St Mirren. I genuinely cannot think of any player
out with a Rangers player possibly who scored a hat-trick at Celtic Park. I am really struggling. It could have been maybe even a European game that is more likely for an opposition than anyone in the Scottish Premiership. And I'm racking my brain thinking to myself of some of the great players down through the years that have played there.
I think possibly you'd maybe have to go further back. I think you would have to go back to the 50s or
you think so?
Or something like that. Yeah. I think
it's an absolute brilliant quiz question.
Yeah.
You know, and
Sure,
Curtis Main. Curtis Main, if he could get it, by the way, Ruffy, it would be unbelievable for the boy to score at Celtic Park. 3 goals, match ball, a lot, everybody talking about him. And the one thing that's really good about it, if he does indeed score a hat-trick. Not that he needs to justify it. I think scoring 2 at Celtic Park is well worthy of praise. He's got a chance for a good move somewhere. A manager might just give him that wee bit of extra cash, because that's what it's all about, earning a living for yourself.
No, I think he's really worked hard in his game. I think for a couple of years ago he's built himself up. He's a powerful unit. He's scoring goals. He's not relying on another striker.
You know what I love about one of our producers, Blair? He works furiously at it, and he batters away, and he's gone back to 1983, the last player to score a hat-trick against Celtic, and it was an Aberdeen player.
Just going to say, was it an Aberdeen player?
Yeah. Can you give me a name of
19 what?
83, and I'm talking top drawer player.
I'll go Eric Black.
Eric Black it is. And Callum McGregor has just equalised for Celtic, 2-2 in that match now. So the Celtic fans are delighted. He's got the goal. Curtis Main now needs to step up and try and get another one to try and win it for St Mirren. But well done to Stephen Robinson's side. They're making a right go of it. He promised to have a go. They're having a go. We'll hear from their managers. We'll also hear, apart from Ange Postecoglou and Stephen Robinson, we will also hear from Michael Beale, who'll be talking ahead of that game against Hibs. We'll hear from the Hibs boss, Lee Johnson. That's tomorrow. Hibs against Rangers at Easter Road. Patrick Mullen will be our reporter right across social media, keeping us up to date with what's happening there. Patrick's covering the miles. He's there at Celtic Park today for Celtic against St Mirren, and he's got 4 goals so far.
Yeah, it is entertaining stuff. It seems to be end to end. Well, it obviously has been with St Mirren having so many chances, and Celtic, they usually grind out a win, whether it's a minute for the end or into extra time or whatever. But, they really have to get their act together for this final coming up.
Yeah, there's no point in anyone trying to make excuses for them, because I think that would be an act of folly. Certainly last week I thought Rangers were fully deserving of their win against Celtic. But, when you look at their form, it's not been great, of late.
No, Celtic haven't been. Even before the Rangers game, I think they were stuttering through, getting wins here and there, but they were still getting them, and everybody was saying, "Oh, that's the sign of a good team." It's not really a sign of a good team. It's just a sign that the team aren't playing as well as what they had been, and certain players have went off the boil a wee bit.
Hey, Kaiser has just said to me, and I think he's a big Aberdeen fan as well, Frank McDougall scored a hat-trick against Celtic in 1985, Peter. Oh, we'll need to check that, Kaiser. Not that I'm saying you've got it wrong. I mean, if that is the case, then it's an absolute belter of a stat as well, Kaiser, and we welcome it. Because when we're talking about players that score hat-tricks, Eric Black, superb player. Frank McDougall, absolutely brilliant player.
Frank McDougall was one of Sir Alex Ferguson's favourite players.
Yeah, he picked up an injury, and I think that really done him in.
Right. He was. I think Sir Alex used to say he was one of the players. On a Saturday, sure enough, when Monday morning came, if there was a chap at the door, it would be Frank McDougall, moaning about something or having something to say. And he said he used to sit there with his cup of tea, waiting on Frank coming in. But he was another great player.
Yeah, he was. And Frank McDougall's hat-trick, Kaiser points out there, was at Pittodrie. We're thinking about, Kaiser, the last player to score a hat-trick at Celtic Park against Celtic. Curtis Main is 1 goal away from it, so it's a great shout, Kaiser. Anyway, scoring hat-tricks against Celtic or Rangers at the best of times is good going.
We never find out that ditty that we threw in during the week about what is a hat-trick. Nobody actually come on.
Did
and
you
played.
know?
No, I'm sure I read it was a bowler hat. In the olden days,
Yeah.
you know, if you scored a goal, you got a bowler hat, and that's why it was called a hat trick.
Yeah, we will indeed. If somebody will say
Somebody,
it, yeah, absolutely. Somebody will say to us what that's all about, and then we'll read it out. Anyway, apart from that, it didn't start on the football pitch, I have to tell you.
What?
The phrase came from cricket and was used when a bowler took 3 wickets from three consecutive balls. The club would give a bowler hat to celebrate the achievement.
I knew it was a bowler hat, but
Yeah.
I don't know why did football pinch it then.
Well, it's because it's three of anything,
Well,
you
I
know.
got half it right.
Well, you have.
Bowler hat.
Well, I'm not knocking you. I haven't said, by the way,
Right.
beat it. You know, you've made a back end of yourself. I thought it was great that you got half of it. Usually you get a tenth of it.
Yeah.
So you've done well, son. Ruffy's here with us today. Absolutely magnificent. And Kaiser says, aye, it was at Pittodrie. But still, listen. Aberdeen player, hat-trick. Frank McDougall, you've mentioned Kaiser, was just a brilliant player, clinical, funny guy as well, Ruffy.
Yeah, he certainly was. You know, that's why I'm moaning about characters in the game now. I know things have moved on and they're all very, very professional, but and I think you witnessed a wee bit last week, you know, that they need to relax a wee bit and enjoy. If they've won something, they need to celebrate it.
I had the best laugh ever up at Pittodrie. I say Pittodrie, up at the Marcliffe Hotel with the Gothenburg greats last week. It was so much fun because, you know, as a boy going to football and watching these teams, when you're growing up, to actually get to a point where you can call 2 or 3 of them really good friends is rare. I mean, I'm lucky that you and I have become friends, which is through, you know, I would have interviewed you. Certainly didn't know you as a friend all those years ago, which is a joy. But you know, growing up to be able to get Tam Burns as your pal and you know go and play football with him was an absolute joy. And not just 2 or 3 games. Tam and I were playing regularly every week when he chucked it because he loved football that much. He just used to phone me and say, right, get the boys together, we're playing football. Yeah. And the training's finished at Barrowfield and all of a sudden you turn up and there's about 9 Celtic legends playing. So, you know, from that point of view, great. But up there, I consider myself lucky because there are 4 guys that I think I was friendly with and really got on well with. And they put them up on the stage with us. I mean, it was just mental. Dougie Bell, who I play football with still to this day. McLeish. Which is great because I got on great with him and his son, Gordon Strachan and I, and Mark McGee. You know,
you got the top 4.
Well, the 4, honestly, Ruffy, I could have just sat there and listened to them all night. They were unbelievably funny, you know, and telling mad stories about Fergie, which is what you want to hear, you know. And they were a great laugh.
Yeah, but I mean, they were a very, very close unit up there. You know, obviously with the success that they had, and a lot of them were together for a long, long time. There wasn't the movement that you get nowadays where players move away. So they were all pretty tight, you know, and they all had a right good banter with each other.
Yeah, bitter blow for Scotland again. Nathan Patterson has been taken off injured in that Everton game, and right now we're at that squeaky bum time that Sir Alex Ferguson talked about. Fulham 2, Crystal Palace 2, Bournemouth 0, Man United 1, Liverpool 0, Aston Villa 1, but Wolves 1, Everton 0, and Everton really a goal to even get a point would be huge for them. Absolutely huge for Everton.
We went down to do that wee bit with Stephen Naismith when Stephen was down there, and he took us into the training ground, which is unbelievable. And the set up there, they have everything at hand, treatment room, everything, you know, and obviously, you know, the stadium itself is pretty special. And then we went into the actual room, the showroom, you know, the memorabilia, the history of the club, and it's there for everybody to see. If you get a chance to go, it's a wonderful experience. So for a team like that to drop out of the league would be absolutely a horrible situation for them.
Yeah, can I just say, Ralphie, I'm looking at it at the moment, and if the results stay the way they are at the moment, then Dundee United would be on 31 points with 2 games left. Kilmarnock would be on 34. and Ross County would be on 34. And of all the goal difference, minus 26 would be Dundee United, minus 30 would be Kilmarnock, and minus 20 would be Ross County. If this came down to goal difference, you know, if you had a twist that they were all on the same, then, you know, you're looking at Kilmarnock and United are worse off than Ross County.
Yeah, but as well as the goal difference, it's the form that they're getting into, you know, with the couple of games to go. You know, we've already seen that all these teams can beat each other on any given day.
Ruffy, there's 12 minutes additional time added on at Fir Park. Could be Sunday by the time they finish, by the way. That's mental, isn't it?
12 minutes?
That's got to be a record, isn't it?
An injury?
Well, absolutely. And well, there was the long delay.
Jacoviti.
There was the long delay. Well, Jacoviti picked up an injury, but there was a long delay for that look at VAR as well. Right. So 12 minutes. I mean, that's incredible, isn't it? So, and I can tell you,
that suits you because you're happy with that.
Ross County are down to 10 men.
Somebody sent off.
Awura Edwards has been sent off. That is incredible, isn't it? 11 minutes to go with 10 men. What a blow that is for Malky Mackay.
Well, this is, I mean, you keep hearing managers saying when we get into 10 men, we practice with 10 men. We practice during the week with 11, we practice with 10 if that situation appears. So the players will know what they've got to do. I mean, at least they don't have to defend for a long time, you know, so they'll get 4 at the back, 5 in midfield, you know, and just make it difficult for Motherwell to score.
Yeah, 7 minutes added on at Livingston as well. Dundee United know what they have to do. They've got to find a goal from somewhere, Ruffy. Even one could be oh so crucial.
Yeah, certainly, you know, but there always is a bit of drama at the end of these games, but it's hard for the players to...
I can tell you, you know, I think a lot of players now are just throwing in tackles right, left and centre to try and you know, make sure that they're committed. No quarter given at Fir Park, we're hearing. So we're down to the dramatic end on it all. Give us your thoughts. Who's going down? Who's in the playoff? Hearts fans, are you absolutely delighted at that result today? Should Stephen Naismith be given the job on a full-time basis? Should he be the Hearts manager next season? Or does it take just a few more results to get a little flavour of what he can offer? Would an Edinburgh Derby win put the tin lid on it and decide his fate? If he won that Edinburgh Derby, would you be demanding that the board give him the job on a full-time basis? Give us your thoughts on that. Aberdeen fans, are you disgruntled about what Barry Robson was talking about with VAR? Is it an afternoon of frustration there? And elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership, give us your thoughts on what's happening right now at Celtic Park, because Curtis Main, if he gets a goal in the last few minutes, it could be a hat-trick. The last one scored by Eric Black in 83. It's 2-2 at the moment there. Killie Nil, St Johnstone 1. Kilmarnock are still not out of it. Livingston 2, Dundee United 1, and Motherwell 0, Ross County 0, with 12 additional minutes added on. Absolutely incredible. Just out of curiosity, Ruffy, the player of the year down south has been mentioned. Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Marcus Rashford, Kieran Trippier and Harry Kane up for player of the year. Who's getting it?
Haaland for me. I think my 1, 2, 3 would be Haaland, De Bruyne and Kane. So Haaland for me,
yeah,
unbelievable.
We're going to hear from Malky Thompson, who's the Rangers women's manager, because we're going to also talk about Helicopter Sunday, which is happening in the women's game in the SWPL 1. It's a three-way battle for it as well. Rangers, Celtic and Glasgow City all in the mix. Who's going to win it? We'll hear from Malky on who he's been seeking advice from ahead of their game against Glasgow City. And I can tell you Liverpool have equalised. Firmino has scored. Roberto Firmino is leaving in the summer.
I was going to say that. Yeah. I saw there was 5 of them, isn't there?
Yeah.
He's
James Milner already as well.
Yeah, I thought Jim Milner would be. He's getting to the later end of his career, you know. I think there'll be other players out there.
Well, can I just say something to you? See, if you look at James Milner's honours and what he's won in the game, it is nothing short of phenomenal. He's one of those players who's, won, as you know, as a Manchester City player. And then at Liverpool, he's been absolutely outstanding as well, a consummate professional. And I think he might have just turned 16 when he made his debut for Leeds United.
It's incredible, you know, and even in England as well, you know, there was a mainstay in there, you know, with all the superstars that they have. They've seen him as the sort of a workman-like guy who held everything together.
Kilmarnock, Nelson Johnson won full-time at Rugby Park. What do you make of that?
Well, they got a good result last week, Kilmarnock, but that's a shock for me. I thought that their home form would have helped them out of this situation, but when they get into the dressing room and they see the scores run about, they're in trouble as well. Everybody's in trouble.
Everybody's in trouble. They're all getting sent off. Aziz Behich, Dundee United, down to 10 men.
Oh.
Sent off.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't go well. You know, obviously we'll be waiting in the interviews for the managers. I'm looking at Malcolm Mackay loses this game.
Oh,
you know, in the light of what's happened with the VAR and everything, it'll be a good interview as well.
Absolutely, be sensational. Can I just say to you that it's Albion Rovers 0, Spartans 1 finished. Spartans are coming up into the professional game. Albion Rovers leave the league.
Yep, Spartans very, very well run outfit. You know, they're good people behind them. You know, and ambitious, which I think is good for Scottish football. And we've seen, as I keep repeating myself, we've seen all the other teams coming up who are extremely professional in everything they do.
Brian Haig, I can tell you it's Celtic 2, St Mirren 2, a draw for Stephen Robinson's side at Celtic Park. Not only has he had a great season, he's taken some really good scalps and had some great performances from his players. Well done to Stephen Robinson, who was a nominee for Manager of the Year. I think he deserves great credit for the job he's doing there in Paisley. Brian Haig says the team seems to be playing and listening to Naismith, and he's getting the players working for him. So yes, I would give Naismith the job, and I certainly think he deserves a chance to become a good manager, whether it's Hearts. And I can tell you that VAR are having a look at the moment. They're checking a possible penalty to Motherwell, which the penalty's been given, Ruffy. What a blow that is for Malky Mackay. That is desperately heartbreaking for Ross County. What do you make of that, Ruffy?
I mean, that's absolute gutted for them. Obviously he's got to score it. I take it Van Veen will be taking this penalty to enhance his goal scoring opportunity.
Well, they were calling for a handball, but I mean, honestly, Ruffy, I think he was denied something, in the start of the half. With regards to VAR, but this time to actually get to a situation where he's penalised, his team are penalised, it is going to be an absolute body blow.
It looks as if it's just holding the player. It's not a handball. You know, it looks as if it's the defender. You know, but again, they're still going to hit the back of the net. You know, Laidlaw's had a very, very good game today, and I wouldn't put it past him. You know, to save this. But obviously it's a lot of pressure, and obviously we're gutted for Malky Mackay.
Yeah.
But it is, to have a player sent off for nothing, and then obviously they're already on the end of VAR. I think it's holding. I think they're defenders holding the Motherwell. The Motherwell player's not even going to get the ball because there's another Ross County guy in front of him.
Yeah, well, that's what we're hearing anyway, so we'll have to wait and see exactly whether that's the case or not. But I think the general feeling is from the referee, he spotted a handball in there which he believes is in an unnatural position, and it's going to be a penalty to Motherwell. And I wonder what's going through the head of Stuart Kettlewell. It'll be mixed emotions. He's such a long association with Ross County, and he's now the Motherwell manager. He's got to be professional, think of his own side. It's full time at Livingston 2, Dundee United 1, Ruffy.
Yeah, Dundee United in a terrible state. I think there's lots of things happening up there. Obviously Stephen Fletcher wasn't playing today, so that's a big blow for them. But no, I think there's massive changes.
Goal for Motherwell, 27th goal of the season. Kevin Van Veen, what do you make of that?
Tragedy for Ross County, but you've got to see out the game. I mean, obviously there's 7 minutes, 8 minutes over when they get that penalty. I'm sure Malcolm Mackay will have an awful lot to say after the game.
Oh, absolutely, because it suddenly makes it really, really tight now. Suddenly, Kilmarnock are on 34 points, Ross County would be on 33, and Dundee United on 31, so it's still going to go down to the wire. It's still going to be just one of those times when the fans will be biting their nails, and some people will get really upset if their favourite team goes out of the top flight.
Yeah, they certainly will, but I think Kilmarnock, all the teams will, when they hear this result, Motherwell will get a sigh of relief, because obviously points are very, very precious this moment in time, but they've still got to do it. They've still got to win or take points in the next 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely. We always look at players who are on form red hot. Kevin Van Veen is one of them, and always with the technique, you wonder sometimes whether they go high, go down the middle, but if you're a good striker, you just plant it as far in the corner as possible and hope that the keeper can't get there. Van Veen has done that. He scored the penalty. Motherwell are in front. They're going to get all 3 points. Ross County absolutely gutted, but it's still in the mix with the 2 games remaining, I can tell you, because Ruffy, quite simply, when you look at the remaining games and what's at stake coming up, Wednesday there's a full card, so you've got Aberdeen against St Mirren. Aberdeen have to win it to try and make sure that Hearts don't snatch third from them. Rangers against Hearts. Hearts have to go to Ibrox and win, and then set up an Edinburgh derby. Hibs against Celtic. Hibs are not out of it yet. They could go and win the game tomorrow against Rangers, and then suddenly have to beat Celtic, and they could be in the mix for that third spot as well. You can't rule them out. And then, of course, let's not forget also in the relegation battle, Ross County, St Johnstone and Dundee United, Kilmarnock. Oh, what about that, Ruffy?
Yeah,
Goal for Everton, Ruffy, in the 99th minute. In the 99th minute. It's such a crucial goal. That could be a £100 million goal plus.
Yeah, but they need new owners in there. They really do. And I think, obviously, if they stay in the league, they might get that. But just shows you, twists and turns so late on. Brilliant.
That's magic, isn't it? I mean, honestly, I'm a Liverpool fan, but I don't want to see Everton go out of the league. No. I mean, for God's sake, Ruffy, come on.
I thought you were going to say goal Ross County there.
No. I'm going to have a drink, Ruffy. What do you make of that Everton goal?
Yes, that they've been in the doldrums for a long, long time, and it was just a matter of time, when they eventually did end up down there, because the progress has been nil for the last 2 or 3 years, where everybody else has been improving. They just haven't spent any money at all, and any quality when you see.
Ruffy, they've spent £500 million.
No, but compared to other teams, the Liverpools and the Man Cities and
Ruffy, they've spent £500 million.
What's Liverpool spent? What's
about
Man
300
City
million?
Spent?
No, Man City have spent £1 billion.
Yeah.
Liverpool, they've spent about £500 million on.
What? I mean, I could hardly name you 3 Everton players of international standing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not arguing with you on that. I'm just saying they've spent a lot of money and they've wasted it.
That's what I'm saying. Whoever's spent any of the director of football.
Listen, at the end of the day, Sean Dyche will know that point could be so crucial in the battle to avoid relegation. It gives them a cushion that's 2 points, still not out of it. Leeds United have still got it all to do as well, Ruffy, because of the games that are going on. Leeds United are at the Olympic Stadium against West Ham, who've just secured this week their place in the Europa Conference final.
Super. I saw the unfortunate scenes after the game. It wasn't very tasty at all, was it?
Well, David's dad's, I think he's about 87 now, Davy, and the last thing you want to see is your dad in there and you're getting attacked by youngsters, ultras, wearing black hoodies, and that's the problem. Once you actually start to cultivate an ultras fan section, they think they're a power unto themselves.
Yeah, we've seen it at a lot of clubs, and unfortunately the clubs don't do anything about it. They just give them a free rein, and that's why things like that certainly happen when you're not winning games.
Yeah, absolutely. What a day of drama in the Scottish Premiership. This is what it's all about, and I can tell you it's full time at Fir Park, and it's Motherwell 1, Ross County 0. Kevin Van Veen gets his 27th goal of the season from the penalty spot after a handball was spotted by VAR, and of course this is a body blow to Malky Mackay and his side. There's a long way to go because the two games that we have mentioned before the end of the season have now got that kind of a do or die aspect to it. It's absolutely incredible what's at stake now in those two games. It's nail biting. If you're Neil Doncaster and the SPFL board, you're looking at it and saying, well, some people might not like the fact there's 12 teams in the league and it's fairly cutthroat and a lot of teams are looking at relegation by January, but when you get to the split, when you get to the playoffs, when you get to battles for third place and fourth place and fifth place, it's certainly working.
Yeah, I think the only unfair thing about it is the split, the three home and 2 away. You know, I think if it falls into your lap, you're getting 3 home games out of 5. It gives you that wee bit of, well, it should give you that wee bit of advantage. So that's why we're all saying, you know, put another 4 teams in, another 6 teams in, and you won't have that scenario. Everybody will play an equal amount of home games and away games.
Yeah, full-time Wolves 1, Everton 1. If you're ever going to score a goal that could mean so much, the 99th minute is not a bad time to get it, Ruffy, is it?
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, that celebrations down there for the fans will be absolutely brilliant because we've already said we don't want a team like Everton going down to that division.
No. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Brentford 3, Bournemouth 0, Man United 1 full time. That is those two games. Fulham 2, Crystal Palace 2, and it's Liverpool 1, Aston Villa 1. That one due to be finished shortly. It's in added time. Wolves 1, Everton 1 full time there. Scottish Premierships where all the action has been in the drama of the bid to avoid relegation really and the playoffs. Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1 in the battle for third place. Hearts really have put the cat among the pigeons. Game on now. 2 games to go. Can Hearts finish third? Would it come down to a nail-biting game at Tynecastle against Hibernian? Aberdeen, Barry Robson, as you heard earlier on in the programme, says, calm your jets. It's still there. We're still in a good position when you consider what was going on earlier in the season. So that's Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1. What about Celtic Park? St Mirren manager Stephen Robinson says they were going there to have a go. Did they? Patrick Mullen was there.
Full time here at Celtic Park and it has finished. Celtic 2, St Mirren 2. It's an 80th minute equaliser by Callum McGregor that has saved a point for Celtic at home. St Mirren led into the break 2-1 thanks to 2 goals from Curtis Main, and Celtic managed to get one back through Kyogo, but in the second half it was full of chances. Curtis Main could have had his third or even fourth, and Maeda will know he should have scored a few chances, but they were saved by their captain in the 80th minute, who switched the ball onto his left-hand side and slotted it into the bottom right-hand corner from about 30 yards out to send the Celtic fans into a frenzy. I'll be speaking to Ange Postecoglou and Stephen Robinson straight after this, but stay at full time at Celtic Park and it has finished. Celtic 2, St Mirren 2.
Well, Patrick, 4 goals, not bad for his first visit to Celtic Park as a reporter.
Yeah, brilliant. It seems a good game, end-to-end stuff. No, and good goals as well, you know. So again, VAR got a lot to say with some of the incidents there as well. So no, it's always good to get goals at a game.
Yeah, Ronnie Chapman says, come on the Airdrie, hopefully they'll get a good win, Peter. They've just edged, in front from the first leg, Ruffy.
Yeah, and their goal scorers are scoring goals regularly at large amounts, 3, 4, 5 goals, so they'll go into that game. Again, Hamilton, another team with a lot of tradition, even in the Premier League, are just been drifting away again, and obviously I hope we don't see any scenes what we saw the other day with Hamilton, the fans turning on John Rankin and the players and the directors in the box, so it'll be an interesting one to keep your eye on that one.
Michael Harrison says the split is a nonsense. Playoffs are great, but get the split away to, and that's next week's competition. Can you fill in the word that's missing? Anyway, we get your drift with this one, but yeah, more than a few people like the playoffs part of it. I love it. It's nervy, it's tense, and you just hope that somehow, if you've got to try and play the team that's gone through so much to get there. I mean, the Championship, my God, it's weighed against Partick Thistle.
Yeah, but as Chris Doolan said, it's in the record books that nobody's ever done it, so it's got to be broken.
Can you see Ayr United coming back in the second leg and scoring 4 goals to knock you out?
No, I've said that the Partick Thistle defence, I think, is the best back four in the league. You know, lots of experience. Obviously, lost the boy Millen, but they just slotted the centre half into that position. Big, strong defenders. Don't lose many goals. I honestly can't see Ayr United turning that round.
Yeah, okay, you can give us your view on that, but can you see Partick being good enough to play either of those 3 teams and win it and get to the Premier League?
Well,
are you scared by Kilmarnock? Are you scared by Ross County or Dundee United?
No, I don't think they will be. I don't think they will be. You know, they'll be getting into the game, as we keep saying, with momentum, a fantastic bit of momentum in the last 10 games. As I said, from that Rangers game, they've just kicked on, and every player is playing with confidence, haven't picked up many injuries, just the one injury they've picked up. So they're playing a very solid team, confident team, getting into games knowing Brian Graham will score goals, you know, which is always good, your striker, in good form. So no, they will not be the same pressure on Partick Thistle as whatever team they're going to play in the Premiership.
Yeah, nice little message from Gary Connor. It says, Peter, the Liverpool fans are giving Firmino a great send-off, and he thoroughly deserves that as well, because he's part of a brilliant front 3 that was part of that memorable period for Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp. You know, Firmino, Mane, and of course the king of them all, Salah.
Yeah, they're fantastic. That year they had when they were nearly winning the 4 trophies is absolutely amazing. Everybody will be a bit disappointed the way it's panned out. You know, they went on a wee run now. I think they're just going to fail at the Champions League, but they'll be in one of the other European Cups, and European football is what the tradition is at Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, elsewhere it finished Kilmarnock 0, St Johnstone 1, Livingston 2, Dundee United 1. Behic was sent off for Dundee United. And just going back to that other match, of course Kilmarnock were down to 10 men in that match too. So as you can see, everybody really desperate times, people putting in tackles, people desperately trying to get their side away from not only relegation but possibly a playoff position. And it looked as if there was going to be a crucial point for Ross County today. 12 additional minutes added on in that match, and suddenly you get a situation where VAR has a look and a long look at what was happening inside the box when the ball was put in there by the Motherwell team, and this was a Ross County side down to 10 men. Owira Edwards sent off late on, and he spotted a handball, awarded a penalty to Motherwell, and again, you know, a lot of people don't like it when it goes against your side. I'm sure Malky Mackay will have more than a few stern words to say about the referee's performance today, but as far as Stuart Kettlewell is concerned, he's saying, I've got a guy who scored 26 goals in Kevin Van Veen, can he step up and score the goal? And the answer to that is emphatically yes, and Motherwell will get the win.
Wonderful strike, a confident strike for a confident guy who's scoring goals for fun. You know, stood up, you know, and just hit it low, bottom, into the bottom right hand corner of the goal. A lot of confidence, you know. I'm sure the whole Motherwell team would have had confidence that he was going to score the goal, but it is, as you said, a real body blow for Ross County.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the football show on a Saturday on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. We're absolutely delighted that you could join us and offer your opinion. We try and read out as many as possible on a Saturday, as well as giving you manager and player reaction to the results as they unfold in the Scottish Premiership. We'll also give you interviews from down south in the English Premier League, as well as the look ahead to Sunday fixtures where Man City could win the league tomorrow. We'll hear from Pep Guardiola. We will also hear from Michael Beale and Lee Johnson as Hibs and Rangers get set to lock horns in the final fixture of the Scottish Premiership. That is tomorrow. And we'll hear from Malky Thompson, who is the manager of Rangers women's side. And of course they've got a 3-way battle to see who's going to win the SWPL1, because Rangers host Glasgow City, and it's going to be absolutely incredible to see what happens there. And of course the permutations are unbelievable. We'll take you through it all, because quite simply it could be one of those days where you're wondering, you're asking what's the score elsewhere. It is Celtic obviously looking to try and beat Hearts on that final day. So we'll hear from Malky Thompson. We'll give you all the permutations of that. We are not too far away from hearing what will undoubtedly be a breathless Ali Graham. If you're going to go to a game at Fir Park that has everything, and remember, it might only be one deciding goal, but there was so much going on in the background to that goal eventually that I'm sure in 112 minutes Ali Graham will try and sum it all up. Here he is now at Fir Park.
Full time here at Fir Park, and it's Motherwell 1, Ross County 0. What an ending to this match. Ross Laidlaw was a hero in the first half when he saved numerous efforts from the Motherwell strikers and kept them in the game. 4 minutes into the second half, Conor Randall was tripped in the box by Callum Butcher. Referee Ewan Anderson pointed to the spot, but then he went to VAR and he disallowed the penalty kick. The game was a bit stop-start after that, but then 90 minutes, sub Edward Uwara got a second yellow card and was sent off. County looked as if they were going to hold on, but the board went up and there was 12 minutes extra time. In that 12 minutes, on the 99th minute, a long ball into the Ross County box. Jonah Beaker was the only one who claimed for it. Again, Ewan Anderson went to VAR and he gave Motherwell a penalty kick. Kevin Van Veen stepped up and stroked it home to give Motherwell the points. I'll be heading down to hear what both managers have to say, but the final score here from Fir Park is Motherwell 1, Ross County 0.
Yeah, and we've provided Ali with a PLZ Soccer tin helmet because I think there'll be a few choice words after the game from Malky Mackay.
Yeah, I think Malky Mackay's always had a few choice words with the referee out in the middle of the park. All credit to Malky. He came out and shaked every Motherwell player's hand. You know, he's a very, very professional guy, you know, but he'll be hurting deep inside, and he knows every point is a prisoner just now, and that point and that decision at the end of that game could be curtains.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the nature of it. Every point, every goal that goes in, the agony of it all is there for everyone to see. Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2, St Mirren 2, Kilmarnock 0, St Johnstone 1, and Livingston 2, Dundee United 1, Motherwell 1, Ross County 0. There's one match to go tomorrow at Easter Road. It's Hibs against Rangers, which is always a tasty affair. There's a wee bit of needle that goes on from time to time in that match, and of course after the game I think Michael Beale has revealed that he will say and make an announcement to the Rangers fans that there are certain players who will be leaving in the summer.
After the weekend we'll come out and formally let everybody know where we're at in terms of the players that are standing leaving. And I've sat in front of you guys for a long time this year, and you've bugged and badgered me to try and give you the answers, but it was important that, you know, we get to this point. In terms of the young players, we've lost two of the young players in Zach Lovelace and Bailey Rice, have gone away with England and Scotland's under 17s in the Euros, so we've lost them. So there will be one or two others coming around and getting an opportunity. There's players who have been injured for big parts of the season that need an opportunity as well. And we're going to need everyone. We've probably got 16 players to get us through the 3 games next week.
Wow, so it's the end of an era for some of them. Some of those players were part of a squad that were able to not only stop 10 in a row, Ruffy, but get Rangers to a European final. So for some of them, I think they deserve a round of applause when eventually the final game and the whistle goes, because a lot of Rangers fans will, okay, it might not work out in certain games this season, but they will look back with great affection at their contribution in that memorable season.
Yeah, and I think one of them in particular would be Alan McGregor. It looks as if Alan McGregor's not going to be there next year. I think he'll get the biggest reception of his. Steve Davis was a massive player as well. You know, he looks as if he'll be leaving, and I think the other ones will be probably the injury-prone ones, the ones that we haven't seen, the Highlanders, them that have been out for a wee while, you know, so be interesting to see. There's usually when somebody throws out a list like that, there's always a couple that take you by surprise. I'm just wondering, you know, for any of the younger players who haven't really broken through would be on that list. I'm talking about Lowry. You know, I know they all think very, very highly of him, but he hasn't been given a chance. It might be a name like that, but with the amount of midfielders that Rangers seem to be bringing in, he doesn't seem as if he's going to break through.
Ruffy, you mentioned something earlier on the last couple of days on this programme that may well be at the forefront of a number of Celtic fans' thoughts, which is quite simply today, one of Curtis Main's goals was really down to Joe Hart. He had an absolute howler at it. I think some Celtic fans will be looking and thinking, you know, he's had a few howlers this season. Some will not be overly convinced that he's at the top of his game. We've had some people obviously just basically looking at him saying he's in the twilight of his career, he's not as mobile as he once was, and maybe Celtic might have to go and look and try and get lucky again on the calibre of player that Joe Hart was, and try and get somebody who is at that level but is maybe coming to the twilight of his career again, because you can't sign absolutely top drawer goalkeepers for the Champions League. They cost millions.
Yeah. No, I think Joe Hart had a very, very good season last year. I think he'd be honest enough to say that this year hasn't lived up to the same expectations or the same performance. He has lost some poor goals. He's had some very bad errors of judgment, you know, particularly, you know, coming out and he's kicking sort of a thing. He makes big saves, there's no doubt about that. You know, is he the best of the three that Celtic have got? Probably, yeah. But you're right, you know, people say, oh, the older you get, the more experience you get, but you do get a wee bit not as mobile as what you used to be, and I think most of the goals that he's lost has been because of that.
We're going to hear from Malky Mackay and Stuart Kettlewell. We'll also hear from Ange Postecoglou and a delighted Stephen Robinson, maybe with a tinge of it should have been much more. You know what Stephen Robinson's expectations and demands are like, but 2-2 at Celtic Park, and remember, still in the league, the only team to defeat Celtic until Rangers managed to do it at Ibrox last week. So he's in a situation where they've managed to take 4 points off them, and good going at that. And of course, when you've only got Rangers and St Mirren defeating Celtic in the league, that is quite a select group. So I think he'll still feel proud of their exertions today in the East End of Glasgow. Tomorrow, as we mentioned there, of course, Hibs against Rangers. Just your thoughts, Ryan Jack? 1 year extension. It's a real chance for him to maybe steer clear of injury, Ruffy, and you know, have a swan song for a final year.
Yeah, I think he's one of the kind of player that you would want about the dressing room. You know, I think he has been unfortunate with the injury. I think before he got the injury, he was brought into the Scotland squad. He wasn't obviously given a chance to play in midfield. I think they played him at fullback in one of the games. So, no, I would think he's the kind of player that you would need in a pool of 20 or 22 or something like that. I don't think, with the amount of players that Rangers are talking about bringing in, he would possibly be a regular in that Rangers team. But certainly any time he'd been asked to do something, I think he wouldn't let them down.
Well, there's definitely something to play for in the game tomorrow at Easter Road, because Hibs, you know, still have that feeling that they can catch Hearts. Who knows, the twists and turns. Lee Johnson certainly expects his players to step up.
I don't feel it'll have that big a bearing, if I'm honest with you. I think they'll both, you know, got professional pride, both had used to winning, you know, both been successful this season in their own right, and they're very difficult games for us.
Yeah, I think a lot of players, he doesn't expect his players to drop off, certainly won't expect Rangers players to drop off, so we could have a real rip-snorting game at Easter Road as ever. It's always a wee bit of needle between the two of them as well. Lee Johnson also went on to say that he wished he'd maybe arrived earlier at Easter Road. He might have had a bigger impact in getting them closer to that European spot rather than this nail-biting last few games.
Yeah, well, to give him the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say his 3 best players were out for certain parts of the season. I'm talking about, obviously, Nisbet, Doyle and McGeady.
Yeah.
Big players. Any team that's missing these 3 players is obviously going to struggle. Defensively, I thought they've been a lot better this year. They have in some games. I think another centre-half, not to go with Hanlon and Fish, you know, would be good. But they don't seem to have that midfield sparkle that we used to. Remember, we used to sit here and talk about the quality in the midfield that they had. Obviously, that all broke up. So they don't seem to have that midfield maestro just now. But certainly up front, obviously the two strikers are playing well, and they'll give Rangers problems tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a couple of wee things I want to get your thoughts on, Ruffy, as well as now we'll hear from managers after these games that have just unfolded in the Scottish Premiership. But I wanted to get your thoughts on James Bisgrove's comments. He's obviously put out there a vision for Rangers, what he wants to see happen, what he wants to see in the future going forward, building relationships with the fans, with the media, but more importantly the fans. I think getting that strong bond and trying to sell the vision to them of what they're trying to do as a club. And he also did reference the away supporters coming in at Ibrox. He said 800 fans will be allowed into Ibrox next season. That's just not good enough.
It's not good enough in the big games. You know, some of the other teams might appreciate that, the likes of St Mirren and Livingston and the likes, but when you start talking about Aberdeen and Hibs and Celtic and Hearts, you know, it's not a lot. And I keep harping back to the semi-final there. And although the game wasn't spectacular, you know, the fans made it before the game, half time, full time, equal amounts in the stadium. You know, the colour, the banter, the singing and everything, you know, it was great. So unfortunately the clubs are now looking after their own, and that is why their own won't complain. You know, they won't complain. You know, but it'd be interesting to see the ones who really like going to the away games, whether they complain. You know, because they're the ones that have been cut out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think history itself will be very unkind to not only the Celtic and Rangers boardroom, but other boardrooms where chief executives and chairmen and owners have pandered to reduce the spectacle that is football for home and away supporters. That's what it's all about. And I think, you know, the lunacy that goes on in Scottish football, you only have to look at the last 3 or 4 years, especially during COVID as well, to realise that there are some people that shouldn't be in charge of our game. But I think history will write a paragraph that will not be very kind to them. And some people will look back and go, really? That's what happened? These people did that to the game at that point? We will wait and see, but
I think it's another thing of the SFE or the SPFL not being strong enough to dictate to these clubs to say there's a rule here that states, you know, you have to have X amount of percentage in the ground. You know, they could make a rule. They could just say, right, this is the way it's always been. All right, you want to change it for whatever reason, but you have to allow X amount of supporters into your ground.
With all due respect, Ruffy, I think there is actually a rule on the minimum amount you can supply. They would need to change the rule to enforce a situation. Celtic and Rangers is a different kettle of fish because I think it's a fabulous game that really is a spectacle. It's watched all around the world, but to have only one set of supporters in, I just don't think it creates the spectacle it once used to. That's certainly up to debate, but what's your thoughts? Are Scottish boardrooms up and down the country killing the game for away supporters? You can give us your thoughts on that. And we'll also be hearing from the managers regarding the full-time scores. Here's how the table looks right now in the Scottish Premier League. There it is, the Premiership with Celtic. The league's in the bag. They are the champions. Rangers comfortably in second place, but look at that, Ruffy. The battle for third and fourth. 2 points in it between Aberdeen and Hearts after the Jambos win today.
Yeah, Jambos will be absolutely buoyant with that result. Obviously they'll expect to beat Hibs in the last game, but it's all about Aberdeen. St Mirren get a good result at Parkhead today. They'll go up to Aberdeen. I'm sure they'll try and put in the same performance, you know, and it's up to Aberdeen to step up. You know, there's big pressure on a lot of players who possibly haven't been in this position before, but I'm sure we'll be keeping our eye on all these results, and if you look at the results today, anything can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you imagine Hibs finished off with 3 wins? I mean, that really would be a sensational twist. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, but maybe the odds on it are slightly stacked against them. But at the bottom end, Ruffy, of the Scottish Premiership, cutthroat, points here and there, VAR decisions, referees changing their mind, it all has an impact at the bottom end. I think now you look St Johnstone are safe with that big win today over Kilmarnock, but it's 34 for Killie, 33 for Ross County and 31 for Dundee United. Big result for Stephen McLean. He said his team would deliver. They backed it up.
Yeah, they certainly backed it up. We talked about it yesterday. They don't have the same firepower that they had earlier on, but one goal's enough in this game, and they again have survived. They're becoming another team that are survivors, but all eyes are on the other 2, 3.
Yeah, had he changed your mind?
I think Dundee United have gone.
And Fletcher's not going to be in for the rest of the season.
No, I definitely think they've gone. I really do. So for me, it's between Kilmarnock and Ross County. Have Ross County got Kilmarnock up at Ross County?
I can tell you right now, as I look at those last games, I put them in because I knew you would do your usual, Ruffy, which is make sure that I've prepared and you haven't. So I can tell you right now, of all the games that are coming up, Wednesday's a full card. So the Wednesday is Ross County against St Johnstone and Dundee United at home to Kilmarnock. Okay? And then the final weekend is Kilmarnock against Ross County at Rugby Park.
Yeah, I mean, I really couldn't, because obviously Ross County today proved, apart from the penalty, they could go away. What?
You said you couldn't. I
can't put my finger on it.
You want me to help you along the way? Dundee United relegated.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to suggest to you right now that looking at the games the way they're going, I think Ross County are going to be in the playoff. Dundee United relegated, Ross County in the playoff, and I thought it would be at the start of the season. I tipped St Johnstone to be relegated. Got that wrong, and then I changed my mind. I thought Kilmarnock, and I'm maybe going to change my mind again. You know, we've only got a couple of games left.
You're probably changing your mind because Kilmarnock have had 3 games at home.
Yeah.
You know, and the last one's at home, so you would like to think, but what a pressure that is for the players turning up for that game.
Yeah. Michael Harrison makes a very good point. He says the derbies, Glasgow and Edinburgh especially, need to have away fans, end of story. It's ruining the atmosphere at these matches. Michael, you're too intelligent for Scottish football. You really need to move to Germany, possibly, Michael, because quite simply, not in this country. It's dragged down by a couple of clubs who literally control everything. In fact, maybe I'm being kind saying a couple, but it's dragged down, and there's no chance for progress unless self-interest is there.
You're right, you know, and Rangers and Celtic are very, very fortunate that the teams like Motherwell, St Mirren, Livingston need away fans. And imagine with the scenario where they didn't need away fans, would Rangers and Celtic supporters be happy that they can't go to an away game? You know, imagine they were financially stable. They say, well, you're not coming, you're not letting any away fans into the game. There would be an absolute uproar, because that means all the Celtic and Rangers supporters could only go to home games, and the majority of them who can't go to get tickets for the home games would not be able to see their team.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep you posted on what's happening between Nottingham Forest and Arsenal. Of course, Arsenal blown the league. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Yeah, again, you know, that pressure takes its toll. You know, a lot of the Arsenal players, who are wonderful international players, haven't been in this scenario to try and get over the line, and sometimes trying to go over the line's the hardest thing in the lot.
Michael says, Peter, at the start of the season I thought Dundee United would be top 6 easy. At Dundee United, it's great if you can get past 6 games as manager. Never mind top 6, Michael, that's the way it's going. But of course, as we mentioned before, you need away fans, you need that colour. I know Hearts and Hibs do have away fans. I think that's vital. It keeps the interest. I love the Edinburgh derby, and certainly I think I might be able to actually sneak in that Edinburgh derby at Tynecastle, Ruffy, at the end of the season, because it's on a Sunday.
Yeah.
See how I feel.
I think I was talking to a Hearts supporter.
Yeah.
And he said, I think Hibs are allowed 1,400.
Yeah. Yeah, but right about that. I think there was I think Celtic had 1,200 there.
Not bad.
So interesting times. Listen, we'll hear from the manager shortly. We have heard from Stevie Naismith, just talking about the pressures of moving from player to manager and how tense it was today. But obviously delighted with the win. Barry Robson not happy with VAR and voiced his displeasure of it once again. And the cry from Barry Robson was, when are we going to get a decision at Aberdeen? We haven't had one. We want one. When are we getting one? That was the call in the top lines from that game in which Hearts won it by 2-1. It was the late show. Kevin Van Veen with his 27th of the season, winning it for Motherwell. 12 additional minutes added on in that match. They got a penalty. He scored. Motherwell won it 1-0. We'll hear from Malky Mackay, and also we will hear from the Motherwell manager Stuart Kettlewell on the events that unfolded at Fir Park. Drama down there at Rugby Park, where St Johnstone scored the goal through Liam Gordon, and that secured their safety in the Premier League. Kelly losing by 1-0. They had a man sent off. They were down to 10 men, as did Dundee United, who lost 2-1 to Livingston. So it's going down to the wire to see who's getting relegated and who's in the playoff. It's going down to the wire in the women's games as well. It's Helicopter Sunday, and here are the permutations. Quite simply, it's Glasgow City, key point, Glasgow City, pole position to snatch the title back. The task is simple. Beat Rangers and they win the title.
It's going to be a sore one for them. You know, they've been up there most of the season. You know, they like a lot of other teams in that position, they went off the boil a bit. They're going to Ibrox. You know, there's going to be, I think it's 10,000 Rangers supporters there. There'll obviously be Glasgow City supporters as well. But it's a tremendous, you know, game for them to try and, you know, come away with a win. You know, and the forum says that it's not going to happen. So for me, it's all eyes on the Celtic Hearts game.
Well, if Rangers, who are the current champions, if they win that match and Celtic also beat Hearts, remember it's about goal difference. Rangers have a 103 while Celtic have 102. So it's one of those situations, if the two teams match each other's result, then Rangers will win back-to-back titles. But of course, it's one of those nail-biting moments where it could swing one way, then the other. Who would want to be a helicopter pilot? And the last time that happened, Alex McLeish was the manager in charge of Rangers, and Malky Thompson asked him for a wee bit of advice.
I think it's a unique situation, you know, probably similar to Big Parliament, Big Alec McLeish, who I've been speaking to over the last few days about it, you know, when they were, you know, going to win that. I think it was 2003, wasn't it? 2003, something like that, so about 20 years ago. So, yeah, but I think, you know, Alex's advice to me was just to do what we've been doing, just to keep a level head on things and just deal with each game in isolation, you know, do the same as we always do. We're planning, our preparation is good. You know, first and foremost, we need to win the game, that's been our mantra all season, you know, to do that. And then obviously we'll need to have an eye or an ear on, you know, how many goals do we need, or possibly, you know, that's the kind of the way it's going to pan out, you know.
Yeah, so Malky knows what Rangers have to do. Glasgow City have destiny in their own hands. If Celtic better Rangers win by 1 goal and the pair are level on points and of course goal difference, Ruffy, then Celtic will actually win the league, because it's then going to goals scored, and City will finish third in the table. It's just incredible the way it's all panning out here. It's going to be dramatic, and we'll keep you posted on our social media channels, and hopefully you can enjoy it. And thank you to so many of you who are enjoying our coverage of football across the UK, Europe and globally as well on our app. If you download the app, you'll get all the breaking football news at your fingertips. It's as simple as that. So don't forget to stick with us right across all our social media channels. It finished at Celtic Park, Celtic 2, St Mirren 2. Here's what Ange Postecoglou makes of that point.
I thought, St Mirren, you know, worked hard and sort of did what they had to do, and we didn't really sort of, you know, control the game as well as, you know, we usually do, mainly because, you know, we just didn't sort of work as hard on the defensive side of our game. It's fair to say the last couple of weeks we've gone off that a little bit, and that doesn't allow us then to sort of, you know, be relentless in the way we play, and, you know, allows the opportunity for the opposition to sort of, get up the park and
Yeah, fairly philosophical as well on this one. They just haven't been at it, and he's not hiding it at times.
No, I think...
Don't take anything away from St Mirren. I've got to hold my hands up, Ruffy.
No, you've got to say it's been quite a long season for Celtic. You're talking about the European football as well, and continually winning. I mean, it's okay saying, it's great to see that, but there's a lot of mental stuff thrown into that as well for the players that have got to go into it, and everybody's going, is this the day you're going to get beat? Is this the day? So mentally, I'm sure a lot of them will be physically drained and mentally drained as well. I mean, you're not going to get everybody, that's going to be in top of their form. You're going to drop off at some time, and if you played most of the games, your form is going to drop off. And unfortunately, for Celtic at this precise moment in time, they've lost like Cameron Vickers and the boy Johnson. The back four isn't as stable as what it was. That was one of their strengths. They never really got many shots against them when they were playing. But no, let's not take anything away from St Mirren. St Mirren have been a breath of fresh air in the league. They've been great. They've been playing attacking football, scoring good goals. And again, I think they've had a lot of quality players.
We'll hear from Stephen Robinson shortly, and let's not forget at Fir Park, Malky Mackay will undoubtedly, as Ross County manager, have a few things to say, as will Stuart Kettlewell. It's been an unbelievable afternoon in the Scottish Premiership, and of course Tam will be back. He'll be here with us, with Alison and yourself, Ruffy, on Monday to digest it all.
Yeah, he certainly will. He'll be well tanned, I would think, if he's out there playing golf all the time, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of stories he's got for us.
Yeah, well tanned is probably the catchphrase on it. I had a few drinks as well, still be probably suffering. This time of the season, it's all about winning titles, trophies, get them in the cabinet. Man City are within touching distance of the Premier League down south. And of course, when you ask them about this possible treble, what's the most important one?
On Sunday we have the game is in our hands to win the most important competition. So Premier League is the most important because it's 10-11 months every week, and we were lucky to have the chance to finish at home with our people, and we have to take it.
I think Pep Guardiola just saying there that the Premier League is the most important for him. Champions League is the holy grail that the Man City fans and I think everybody else is judging him on.
Yeah, well, as you know, I don't read many books. But I did read a book. It was
colour it in?
Roy Keane. No, lots of the pictures were coloured in before I got it. But Roy Keane at a particular time was saying top four. If you don't win it, top four. Being in top four, because top four means you're playing Champions League football.
Yeah.
And that was the be all and end all, being fourth or in that four.
Yeah.
If obviously you want to win it, but if you don't win it, you're in the Champions League, and that's what the supporters want.
Well, 2004, since 2004, that seems to have been Arsenal's ambition all the way, trying to make it into the top four. That was viewed as a success for many Arsenal fans. They craved the league, thought they were going to get it this season. And they've blown it. It's as simple as that. What about Chelsea's story? Because they are standing in the way of Manchester City. Frank Lampard is now trying to get what he hopes will be a successful end to his short tenure as interim care boss at Chelsea. And of course, Chelsea have been signing players willy-nilly over the last few years. Some of their spending has been ridiculous. It's a scattergun approach, certainly no strategy to it. But Frank Lampard has revealed that he did try to sign the current number 9 at Man City.
I've got a huge respect from the player. As a player I tried to bring to Chelsea the first time I was here, and was really keen to get him here. Obviously that couldn't happen, but his level at that point was very clear as well. We played against him in a pre-season game at Salzburg, and he was fantastic. So credit to him. I love seeing players at that level. I love seeing players with that personality and level of hunger to play and be the best, which he's proven himself to be. And in terms of having to deal with him, I think you have to have obviously a plan and an idea, but players of that level can make anything happen at any moment.
Lampard tried to sign Haaland as well as a number of other clubs, but he opted for Manchester City, and his goal scoring record has been outrageous this season.
Yeah, it certainly has. You know that it's a fantastic league to play in. All the top players from Europe and everywhere else want to play in that league, and for him to come in and absolutely destroy most of the teams with the goals he's scored, and just shows you the quality that he has. And I don't think he's finished yet. I think his name is still going to be written in big lights at the final.
Yeah, treble for you for City?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yep. I know Man United are doing well, but I still think that the football they played in midweek there was something special.
Yeah, okay. Graham Campbell says, Ruffy, St Mirren have lost 3 squad strikers recently, only Main available, but they still managed to score 2 at Parkhead. There should be no excuses for Celtic due to their squad strength.
No, there's no excuses at all. I mean, I know Ange came out there and put a brave face in it, but deep down he'll be feeling, you know, that wrong time. You want to finish with a flourish. Obviously they've got the cup game and a chance to win that, but in the league, you know, no, don't take any credit away from St Mirren at all. And he's right, Main has stepped up big time with all the strikers that have left.
I'm trying to think of the result of the afternoon. You've got to credit St Mirren. It's on a fine line here where I think, you know, St Mirren to score 2. The league's won by Celtic, I know, but I don't want to diminish what Stephen Robinson's side have done. But if there's something that means something, St Johnstone's 1-0 win against Kilmarnock keeps them in the Premier League, Ruffy. What's your result of the day?
I'm going to get it to St Mirren.
Yeah.
I mean, St Mirren are winning 2-1, you know, and obviously they had a chance to make it 3-1. So there aren't many teams that have went to Celtic Park and had that opportunity. So I'll give it to them. I know what you're saying about St Johnstone. It's a lifeline for them for next year. But no, St Mirren for me have been, I was going to say Livingston were the team of the year until they fell off the cliff. But no, St Mirren for me, out with the big noise, have been the team of the season.
And here's the St Mirren manager right on cue, Stephen Robinson.
It's the boys are happy. They know they played very well, but as I say, a slight frustration, which is rare to come to Celtic Park and have a frustration not to get 3 points. I think we deserved it. Celtic had lots of possession in areas that didn't hurt us, but their quality comes through. You know, they make changes, they change their system. They're very clever, and I thought tactically we coped with it really well. But yeah, there's a frustration, but 2 games to go, and we're still right in a race for Europe.
I knew he would say that because I know him so well. He's such a likeable manager and he knows his stuff, Ruffy. I knew he was going to say that. He'd be frustrated.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got to be positive, haven't you? You've got to let your players know that you're positive, and you have the belief that if things go your way, there is a chance, and whether there's always a chance, you've got to keep hanging in there. They've proved they can go to Parkhead and get a point, you know. Why not get a point in the next game and 3 in the next one, and hope everybody else cuts themselves up?
Smith scored for Hamilton Accies, Ruffy, against the Adrionians. They're 1-0 up. It's 1-1 in aggregate.
Yeah, that'll be nail biting as well, right to the end. I mean, as I said earlier, Airdrie have always got goals in them, so I think Hamilton would need another one.
Here's an interesting point that somebody actually put into the main spotlight of the media, which is something I think everybody could offer their opinion. I'd love to know what you're thinking about it as well. Do you see Celtic or any other Scottish club reaching a European final again? I'm loath to say again because such a long time, things can happen. There are various permutations, but the reason why I'm putting that question out there, Ruffy, is I can remember various pundits saying, you know, you'll never see Celtic or Rangers reach a European final again. And when you look back at the Halcyon days of the 60s and 70s, and then suddenly, you know, Aberdeen and Dundee United apart, who were fantastic in the 80s. Suddenly in 2003 it was Celtic. Suddenly in 2008 it was Rangers, and then of course we've just witnessed Rangers in a Europa League final as well.
Yeah, I think you know, you have we eras of, you know, that you've got the right team and the right kind of players to get there. You get a favourable draw. But I mean, I'm talking about the Rangers one. Don't take anything away for Rangers. You know, they got there. If you were asking me, would they ever get to a final in Champions League, it would be no. Would it be Europa Cup? No. conference, good chance.
Okay, let's go live outside Celtic Park. Patrick Mullen, our reporter, is there. Patrick, should St Mirren have had all 3 points?
Yeah, Peter, I think it's almost a certainty that St Mirren should have had all 3 points here today. Curtis Main will be absolutely kicking himself that he has not become one of the first players ever to get all 3 goals here at Celtic Park. He had a glorious opportunity in around the 60th minute to really end this run, and they put it away, and Callum McGregor punished them in the 80th minute.
Yeah, I knew Stephen Robinson was going to say he was a frustrated man, although he did mention that Celtic had a lot of possession. What about the play and the tactics from St Mirren? Were you impressed by it? Do they deserve tremendous credit for backing up the manager's assertions yesterday that they were going to come and have a go?
Robinson said it yesterday in the press conference that they were going to come here and they were going to play football. He did not want them to sit in and just defend all day, and it was quite amazing really to watch the first 15-20 minutes, and Celtic almost didn't really understand what was going on. A lot of pressure, a lot of deep balls, and that was how the first goal really came about. Starfelt and Ralston were just all over the place at the back, and Curtis Main took advantage of it.
Now, big question here on this one. A lot of people have been moaning about Joe Hart, whether he made a big blunder or not. Is he open to criticism?
I assume you're talking about the opening goal, and it was a bit of a weird one from the stands. Like, Curtis Main's just kind of almost p-rolled a ball underneath him, and it looks like he's kind of half-efforted, tried to put a hand down and hasn't got anywhere near it. I think any other game you'd really be expecting him to get that one saved.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I'm dying to know what you're going to say on Monday, Ruffy, with regards to that from Joe Hart. Not many players score a hat-trick. We were racking our brains. Eric Black, the last man in 1983 to score a hat-trick at Celtic Park. Curtis Main could have had it, and it would have been something that he would never forget. But to score 2 as well, was he the star man for St Mirren?
Yeah, by far. He was the star man up front. I think Mark O'Hara in the middle of the park deserves a lot of plaudits. He was really dominating the play for the majority of this one, really setting in balls for Curtis Main to go ahead, but he was putting the ball in the back of the net, and I guess that's what it's all about.
Yeah, anything to worry about from a Celtic perspective as far as their fans are concerned? They won't be happy with a draw against St Mirren, but you know, it hasn't quite been clicking at the moment. They lost to Rangers, and Rangers deserved their win, Patrick, but this is a Celtic side that quite a few of them will be looking and saying, well, we can't down tools because there's a treble to try and win.
Yeah, I'm just talking about kind of switching the team around and seeing what was working before that important cup final. But the message I really got from some of the fans and myself was the passing today was just so slack, kind of half effort. No one really seemed to kind of mind whatever happened because they just kind of got the memo that the league was done and they were very happy. So they need to kind of switch back on before that all important final, of course, against Inverness.
Yeah, absolutely. Well done, Patrick. Good shift today. Of course, he's on his travels, Ruffy, because he'll be heading through to Easter Road for Hibs against Rangers tomorrow.
Yeah, that's another good game for him. Are you giving him Ross County as well, maybe in midweek?
Well, let's not put him on a downer, Ruffy. I haven't broken it to him yet, but isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? I mean, I don't mind going. I loved it because you could have a good weekend up there or a good overnight stay.
And you're looked after in the stadium.
Absolutely. Roy McGregor and the rest of the Ross County crew are magnificent, but quite simply you get a situation now where some journos just don't like heading up to Dingwall. It's a brilliant area up there. You've got to make
Beautiful
sure it's
scenery.
a day. Yeah,
well, it's beautiful. Once you leave Inverness and you get through the Black Isle and you get through all Fortrose and where else do I know up there, Strathpeffer and
yeah.
You know, it is.
Yeah, don't bore us, Ruffy, for God's sake. By the way, start talking about mountains and everything like that. You'll be giving us the Bowls results next. Anyway, thanks very much to so many of you who've offered your opinion on it. What do you think? Billy says, can you ask Ruffy about Bain getting a 3-year deal? That's a strange one.
It's a strange one, but if you're him, you know your third choice. You're going to get a very lucrative deal for your family. You know, you won't get a better deal elsewhere. You know, so you know it'd be a no-brainer if you're called in and said, right, here's a 3-year deal.
Yeah, absolutely. What about that goal for Nottingham Forest, Ruffy? They're 1-0 up in Arsenal. If Arsenal fans are watching them in the last 4 or 5 games, they're just wondering what's happened. Forest leading by a goal to 0.
Yeah, everything just collapsed, hasn't it? Even in the games they were playing, you know, they were giving teams 2 goals at a start, then trying to get themselves back in the game. But that is a good finish.
Yeah, that is a good finish, isn't it? Yeah, Wimbley scores the goal and rolls away. Nottingham Forest, I want to see Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League next season, Ruffy, yeah?
Yeah, well, the history of the guys that we know, you know, that's you want to be there, the Cloughy days, and obviously Robbo and Ree Archie and all the guys. You know, they are a good club with a lot of tradition, so it's taken them a long time to get back in there, so you wouldn't like to see them falling out.
Yeah, okay, Ruffy, I'll tell you right now, there's a full card to look forward to in midweek. We'll be obviously speaking to all our reporters across the grounds that they're going to for Wednesday night. Aberdeen against St Mirren. Rangers are going to take on Hearts and Hibs Celtic. That's the top end. There are some belter games there, Ruffy.
Yeah, they certainly are, you know, that and obviously with Celtic dropping off a wee bit, Rangers are on a wee bit of form just now. You would think that Hearts and Hibs are the ones that we'll be keeping our eye on, you know, to see, because I think, well, I don't know about you, but I want a Hearts-Hibs game at the last end of the season to something to matter.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't think the one thing is nobody will get to see it, Ruffy.
True, yeah.
It's going to be a blow. But at the bottom end on Wednesday night, Ross County against St Johnstone and Dundee United against Kilmarnock is absolutely incredible. I mean, those games mean so much on Wednesday evening.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see, you know, some of the teams that are safe, you know, how their manager goes about, you know, what team they put out. I remember one year, I think it was either Celtic or Hearts, they'd won the league, not Hearts, but Celtic had won the league, and they put out an average side, and all the other teams complained because they never put out a full strength team. That's at Johnson practically safe now.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting what kind of team they put out, you know, and if the other teams say, well, come on, you know, we've been feeling full strength team, so you've got to keep going.
But Dundee United against Kilmarnock, have a look at the table, Ruffy. This is what's at stake. Dundee United against Kilmarnock on Wednesday is nail biting, because Dundee United are on 31 points, Kilmarnock are on 34. If Dundee United can get a win at home, suddenly they're alive again.
Yeah, they certainly are. And I mean, I thought that was an incredible fan base appearance last week at Dundee United. I think the whole city got right behind the team. Well, not the whole city, the Dundee United side of the city. And it was a fantastic atmosphere in the game. Obviously, they never won it. So, yeah, another wee twist. Obviously, Kilmarnock are going to be a player down, be getting sent off. So, no, I think Jim Goodwin will come out and try and be as positive as he can.
Yeah, Billy has sent us a message. He doesn't like Dingwall. He doesn't like it at all. He just says it's. I'm not going to say the word he used, but he doesn't like it. He's obviously not going to the places we're going to, Ruffy, at times, you know, because we know people up there. We know it's like Billy Connolly. Sometimes we used to walk down streets and we can listen for a party in Dingwall. That's the key to it.
Way back when we used to go up there, it used to be the Dingwall Social Club.
Oh, did it?
Where the top acts like Tom Jones and
Dingwall.
In Dingwall, yeah.
Did you go up for that?
Well, we were up there. We used to go up there every pre-season and play Ross County with Partick Thistle.
Yeah, well, there you are. Fantastic. What a great memory. Tom Jones and the Bachelors, undoubtedly, and Cilla Black. That's what you get here with Ruffy. You just get decades of great memories as well. Listen, as far as the scores, if you have indeed joined us late on and wondered what all the commotion was about, here indeed are the final scores on screen in the Scottish Premiership. Hearts 2, Aberdeen 1, Celtic 2, St Mirren 2, Kilmarnock 0, St Johnstone 1, Livingston 2, Dundee United 1, Motherwell 1, Ross County 0, and Hibs against Rangers takes place tomorrow. There was drama right across that whole afternoon, Ruffy. Even you and I were looking there and thinking to ourselves, really, is that how it's unfolded in the Scottish Premiership? Because I don't think anybody would have been looking and thinking that Celtic would be 2-1 down to St Mirren.
No, and I think obviously we didn't get a chance to see the VARs, so it'll be interesting to see them tonight. And the VARs now are becoming so crucial now to certain teams, and I'm sure Malcolm Mackay will have something to say about their VAR.
Is that the result of the afternoon?
Do you mean bad result for Ross County?
No, St Mirren 2-2.
Yeah, St Mirren for me, yeah.
Yeah. Hearts 2, Aberdeen won the battle for third. Hearts have now made it interesting. Barry Robson's called for calm. We're in a good position here.
Yeah, well, he's thinking he's just because he's got a home game against the 6th place team, St Mirren.
Yeah.
He obviously thinks that it's a home win and we're there.
Yeah, can St Mirren still get that European spot, you think?
No.
No, you're not buying into it? What about a big result for St Johnstone? I think we've got to pay tribute to Stephen McLean. There's still no confirmation of who's going to be the manager at St Johnstone, but Stephen McLean, like Stevie Naismith, like Barry Robson before them, they'll all be hoping that results can suddenly put them in a box seat.
Yeah, but I think Barry Robson had a run, 7 or 8 or 9 wins. Obviously Steve McLean's got a result today, which is very, very important for the club. I would think that I don't think he'll get the job, but I think he will be at St Johnstone because he's very highly rated.
Yeah, can we give some credit to David Martindale at Livingston? A lot of people accuse them of putting the tools away. They've stepped up to the plate today, 2-1 against a Dundee United side that I just don't know where the spark's coming from.
No, and I'm sure Jim Goodwin will be the same. But yeah, all credit to Dave. I think he must have had a hard word with his players because I think any of the interviews we saw, he was seriously miffed by the performances they were putting in.
Yeah, and when managers get angry, they do get angry, usually at post-match press conferences. And I think on Monday, Ruffy, I'm certainly going to not enjoy, but be interested in what the extended interview is with Malky Mackay with regards to his viewpoint on VAR. Referees changing their decisions, and of course the ultimate one is the VAR decision at the end, which gives Motherwell a penalty that wins the game for Kevin Van Veen's 27th goal of the season.
Yeah, well, fortunately we'll get enough to see it, a chance to see it before Monday and give our opinion on it as well. I think he'll be more upset about his player getting sent off for the second yellow card. Because if obviously VAR proves that there was a handball, there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah, I can tell you that Hamilton Accies are still a goal up as we head to half time in that match against Airdrieonians. That's nail biting stuff, and we're talking about teams that don't have a strong fan base, but obviously Hamilton Accies with Alan Maitland that we know, Colin McGowan, they'll be desperately hoping that they can escape another drop.
Yeah, they can't afford to have another drop. There's obviously behind the scenes it's been chopping and changing here and there at boardroom level and obviously owner level and everything as well. But Hamilton Accies we're a Premier League club. There's no doubt about that they've just fallen grace.
Yeah, thanks to Ruffy today. He's been absolutely magnificent. He's been offering people lifts, giving them lifts right, left and centre, watching his granddaughter.
Yes.
And over and above that, coming in and obviously disrupted in his day, was coming in to talk football. But he's been with us for the whole Saturday afternoon, which I've thoroughly enjoyed with him. Drama unfolded in the bottom half of the table, where it's going to go right down to the wire to see who's going to get relegated and who is going to be in the playoff position. Lots to talk about, lots to analyse on Monday. Hopefully you can join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Hit the subscribe button if you want the breaking news and all the stories coming from tomorrow's Hibs Rangers match. Then download the PLZ Soccer app. You'll get all the stories and the breaking news at your fingertips and across our social media. We will keep you up to date. All you have to do is like, follow and share across all our channels, our website, Facebook, Twitter. It's all there for you. From Ruffy and myself and our backroom team of Sean and Blair, who were absolutely magnificent, with all our reporters. Have a great Saturday night.